Robyn needs prayer, and Karen is the ground down for a reason. Watch.
True. If I didn't tell my mama what happened, why the would I walk in front of any of y'all?
Robyn, you need to be accountable.
What are you gonna do? You wanna beat me up or something? What do you wanna do? Hold me accountable. I'm here. I'm here.
I want you to hold yourself accountable.
Hold me
You
accountable.
lied the entire year, but you asked all of us to be accountable.
She can be quiet.
You know what? This outfit reminds me of those women in a polygamy camp. And they're going to stand up for their man. Only thing Robyn was missing was her bonnet. Juan is a good man. You just don't know. Leslie, ask me anything about Juan. You the whole world know about Juan. We don't need to ask you about Juan. Well, sit your ass down and get a bonnet. Robyn, it's yours. I'll save it for you.
Can we stop with this? Because this is a very personal experience, and you all are
Which
trying.
you drug us into.
No, I did not. That you're trying to make
you put
me
a price
a villain
$5.99 on it,
for?
Robyn, and sold it to the world.
What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you?
Just buy it.
What does that have to do with you?
I'm crazy.
What does that have to do with you?
Stand up for your accountability.
I am happy to answer all of your questions, but when you're attacking me like I did something to you, that's when it's a problem.
How come we never saw you going up to your homegirl saying, you know what, I've been really stressed because this is going on?
Okay, I'll address that. This girl DM'd me. I wasn't looking at my messages. She messaged Giselle.
And just because y'all did not see or hear our discussions doesn't mean it didn't happen.
No.
We need to just paint some pussies. Well, I have a question. You said that there was a DM exchange and you didn't read it.
I didn't.
But there's no part of you that wants to know what they were saying to each other that was potentially inappropriate?
No. He cleans his phone out like crazy. Like, he deletes everything.
Oh, girl.
So,
It's for safety?
like, literally, he doesn't even store people's phones. He'll have coaches reach out to me. He's like, I don't know who this is, because he's weird, okay? So he did not have the messages with her. And I don't communicate with thirst buckets.
In Robyn's defense, there is something called trust. So if you are going to trust somebody, then you don't have to try to verify everything that they're saying. But it wouldn't be me. I'd be looking all up and through.
True. If I didn't tell my...
Yeah, Robyn's in denial, and she's so obvious yelling when they actually brought up the fact that she did compromise the integrity of the show with that Patreon mess. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative, coming at you with Real Housewives of Potomac Season 8, Episode 6 review. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you're returning, thank you so much for rocking with us. Now let's get into this episode because it was a lot. So first we continue Wendy versus Nneka. And even though Nneka is doing the very most, Wendy does give a low blow when she accuses Nneka of doing crack in LA. So then Giselle and the girls ask Wendy not to make drug allegations because those are serious. And then Wendy says, all right, then y'all stop making any allegations. So here, I guess Wendy decided to fight fire with fire because Nneka called her mother a witch and all these things. So she's like, okay, if my mom's a witch, you're a crackhead. And so that kind of squashes it. They all dance to the pool DJ music. Then Candace checks in on Nneka and just asks her how she's doing. And then Wendy cuts in and asks Candace to please not talk about her with Nneka, which shows that I think Wendy expects Candace to have her back, and she's a little taken aback, I guess, that Candace is comforting Nneka instead of comforting her. And Candace basically says that Wendy's not going to control how she moves. And it makes me worry for that friendship a little bit, but we shall see how this plays out. Next, you see the girls all getting ready for the rest of the trip. Ashley does a TikTok while getting ready. And I wish production would stop showing these because Ashley's so stiff. It's bad enough it's on TikTok, but it's fine. She's having fun, but it has nothing to do with the episode. It's production that is the problem with these shows. Next, in the cars, you see that after being asked by Candace, Wendy says there's nothing to repair. Nneka says she has crossed the line that cannot be uncrossed by talking about her mom and putting all these very terrible, witchcraft allegations out there. And then in the other call, Nneka says Wendy doesn't want to admit that her mom consults with shrines. But again, Nneka's showing her ignorance because, like we talked about, there is no like footing that she has in talking about Wendy's mother's spirituality, because Wendy's mother is a Christian and there are Catholic shrines and she's a Catholic, so it's like really ignorant what she's saying. Next, they all eat and then they start talking about, adult talk, and they ask, Robyn if she swallows after, oral acts with her husband. She says yes. And the girls kind of shade her because they know her husband cheats and all that. So they're like, that's not safe. So then next, Nneka says she also does that. And then Mia says she tops the salads. And it's all fun and games. And then Nneka tells the girl she's trying to conceive. So it's nice that she has Wendy's name out of her mouth in this scene. And then the girls all go to Robyn's penthouse just for a little bit. I think Robyn was just showing it off. And then Giselle goes to bed and then they kind of have fun. And it's always interesting. Whenever Giselle goes away, the girls get along way better. So she might be the one that they need to get rid of. But Candace takes Robyn's shoes because I guess she had heels. So she wanted to buy Robyn's flip-flops. And then she asked Robyn to talk the next day. And then Robyn is acting like she doesn't know why Candace wants to talk to her when it's like they were friends for a while. So they're gonna agree to, bring the conversation that they need to have up the next day. And then when the next day comes, Nneka calls her man and says that Wendy called her a crackhead, and Ike just laughs and says everyone knows she's not a crackhead, but understand that Wendy is triggered by her. I think Ike knows that Nneka is also wrong for, calling her mama, which because he's Nigerian as well. So he doesn't give Nneka, the gas and I guess that she wanted because I think he knows that she's wrong. So I think he's like, well, at least she talked to you. But whatever. Next, Green Eye Bandits have breakfast and they talk about Candace. And Giselle's like, sorry, I left you alone to be with the people that talk about you. And again, you see Giselle sowing discord, stirring up, the divide, even though Robyn and Candace are gonna have a conversation. They agreed to talk through their issues. You see Giselle again affirming that don't talk to her, don't sit with her, kind of all her Regina George stuff. And then the other ladies all join Ashley for her activity, which does not happen because they're basically supposed to all paint their vagines. There are their lady parts, but they just all want to confront Robyn about all the mess that she has gotten herself and really the show into. Because if you don't know, they had a whole season where the only one that brought up, Juan cheating was Karen, and then Robyn tried to act like Karen was lying on the show. And after the show finished airing, then Robyn came out with the story about Juan cheating on her Patreon, so she put it behind a paywall. So instead of doing her job, which is to, talk about her life in reality, when she had the chance to, when Karen brought it up, she lied, and then they brought up, false rumors about Karen and Blue Eyes, and they also brought up false allegation against Candace's husband, Chris, when they really had a real crisis in their marriage about Juan cheating. And she tried to charge people to hear about it on Patreon, and the Bravo fans were just pretty much outraged. Even Carlos King was saying that nobody on his shows would ever do that because it's reality. Like, she literally hid the story that could have made the season actually like real and good. and then tried to charge people for it when Bravo's already paying her to tell her story on the reality show, you know? So Robyn is acting like she does not understand why, you know, all the girls and fans are upset with her over this. And then Karen just goes and confronts her directly and says, you know, why did you do this and hide, you know, the basically the lead story, which was a real story that happened. And literally bloggers had to bring it to light, and people had to find out first from like bloggers. And then again, she tried to charge for it on her Patreon when Bravo is paying her to tell the story. So then Robyn starts yelling and spinning around in a circle to deflect. And then Karen in a confessional proves why she is the grand dame, because she definitely made us laugh doing her Robyn impersonation. She basically starts yelling as well and waving her hands to mirror, you know, what Robyn was doing by spinning around in a circle trying to yell and deflect. And then Karen said that to her, Robyn looked like a woman in a polygamy camp or polygamy cult, you know, who was just missing her bonnet, and Karen whips out the bonnet. I don't know where she got, you know, I don't know where she got it from. I feel like she got it from the Housewives of Salt Lake City, because they also had a funny event where they were all wearing bonnets. So maybe Meredith and them sent her that bonnet. But Karen is the grand dame. She's MVP. She made that scene really funny. And she's really the light of the season. A lot of the best scenes involve her, and she tries to bring the women together and have real conversations, but the rest of them are playing. So shout out to Karen. So then she says she's gonna save the bonnet and give it to Robyn in her confessional. And then they continue, you know, to talk to Robyn in the hotel, and Candace says, you know, you mess with the integrity of the whole group and you made it affect the whole show when she put the price tag of her story on Patreon, because she was lying during the season and then charged people for the truth after the fact. So it did affect them all. But then Mia's pick me self talking about how, well, they could have bought the story on Patreon if they were so concerned, because it was only $5. And then Wendy chimes in and just asks directly to Robyn, you know, why didn't Robyn at least address the Juan cheating story with her homegirl, with Giselle, on camera, so that, you know, the show could preserve the sense of like reality and them telling the truth, even if she didn't want to talk to the other girls who she says, you know, were not her friends. And, you know, she's basically blaming the other women for not making it, you know, safe for her to talk about it. But at the end of the day, when Karen brought it up, that was her chance, you know, to talk about it. And even if she didn't want to talk about it with the other girls, she could have at least talked about it with Giselle, who's her ride or die on camera, right? So then Giselle said that just because they didn't see the conversation doesn't mean it didn't happen. So again, that makes me side-eye production, because if they really did have a conversation about it, then that's production's fault. But according to Giselle and Robyn on their own podcast, Robyn said, well, why would I bring it up since it happened a while ago? So Robyn and Giselle did not talk about it according to their own mouths, because they claimed that it had nothing to do with the season. And again, Karen brought up the cheating allegations during the season. So it definitely was a part of the season that they chose to lie about and then charge people for the truth after the fact. So then Candace also asked Robyn if she herself as a wife would want to know what the DMs between Juan and this female were, and like want to know what's going on in her marriage. But then Robyn says that, well, Juan deletes everything in his phone and he's very weird about messages. He doesn't even save numbers in his phone. So even when like people at work call him, he doesn't know who it is, which is very shady because it means he's trying to hide things all the time from her. Like if he can't even save contacts by name, it's because he doesn't want, you know, unknown numbers to get mixed in with like the regular number. So he keeps all the numbers unsaved and unknown to his phone. As she said, he constantly deletes stuff and he's weird about his phone. So all the ladies are making faces while she's saying this. And she just looks so brainwashed and sad. And what Karen said just keeps ringing true. It's like she is in this very cultish slash brainwash situation with Juan. And it's not just her alone. There are many people that choose to be willfully obtuse and blind to, negative things that happen to them. But in this case, like the lady said, it affected the show because they all look like they're on a sham reality show because it's not really showing the reality. It's looking like fake storylines. It's looking like, why should people tune in to this reality show if people are just going to be lying and not showing their life, So then Ashley squashes the convo when I guess her homegirl is taking a very big L. And she asked the people to get back to the itinerary since the whole paint event got taken over by this confrontation of Robyn. And as she has them draw lots like the Bible Lily to pick in, whether they're going to go to a distillery or shopping by chance. And then Candace just ends up swapping her paper with Robyn so that the Green-Eyed Bandits and Nneka end up being the ones to go to the distillery. And then Karen, Wendy, Candace, and Mia end up going in the other group. They go to the distillery, sorry, and then the Green-Eyed Bandits go shopping. So next, you see them getting ready for the little day events, and Karen, while the other girls are getting dressed, also has a meeting for this group called PAVE, which is going to be having an event to raise awareness about, sexual assault and violence against women. And Karen has shared her story, that she was a victim of sexual assault, but she's a survivor and a thriver, and she's going to sound the alarm and be a voice for other women who may not have filed charges like how she didn't file charges in the past. And it's very noble what Karen is doing again. She's the ground down for a reason. And then you see all the girls come down and they're all in different outfits. They don't look like they're having the same theme. Like some of them look like they dress for tennis. I think Mia looked like the most Texas vacation-y because she had on like this actually fashion forward, denim dress and like a cool cowboy hat. So I thought Mia looked the most like she was, on vacation. And in Karen's car, again, it's Mia, Wendy, Candace, and Karen. They all say basically how they realize how much Robyn loves Juan. And they're not sure if they're going to get anywhere talking about it with her. Wendy says she don't care how much Robyn loves Juan because what she did was not great for the show or for the friend group, And then you see the Green-Eyed Bandits arrive at the boot shop. And then I call them the La Dames or Karen's group arrive at the distillery. And they drink a 150 proof shot, which I was like, wow, that's a lot. So then you see with the other group, Nneka finally stops talking about Wendy and gossiping about her mama and talks about her own business of, her wedding. And hopefully this will be her vibe for the rest of the show. And she can talk about her own life and her own business and stop gossiping about Wendy's mom and stop showing her ignorance about religion and doing the whole ethnocentric witchcraft stuff because, again, she's going against her own people with that. She will always be whacked for that. But then Nneka says that she didn't like her Western wedding that her and her husband had because she was planning it from afar, I guess. And like they moved to Potomac and then they had it 2 weeks after they moved. So she said nothing was right. So, excuse me. She talking about Nneka's making me tired because it's boring. But she said she's going to do a better job with her Nigeria wedding. Robyn then brings the conversation back to herself and talks about how the other girls treated her so bad. And then Nneka will say how she thinks Robyn is so open. So it's clear that Nneka wants to be in the Green-Eyed Bandits, and the Green-Eyed Bandits are embracing her for going against Wendy And then you see a bird visit the La Dame group with Karen, and then Mia is pretending to be sober by drinking water, but we all know she still drinks wine. And then Mia starts parroting Nneka with the ignorance because Wendy first says like, "Oh, y'all know I don't like birds," and then they show the flashback of her and T'Challa, which always makes me laugh. It's so funny. And then Mia asks Wendy if that's her mom or if her mom sent the bird, if her mom is the bird. And then Wendy does what I guess a classy based woman does by like, keeping her cool because Mia already has crossed the line by throwing a drink at Wendy and now she's making mama jokes to Wendy that again fuels this just ignorant narrative that Nneka started. So I'm surprised that Wendy kept her cool because a lesser woman would have just lunged at her over the table. But Wendy says, don't do that, And then Wendy asks them not to bring up moms into their conversations because, you know, she gets emotional because she loves her mom and she explains the misunderstandings about, shrines being a part of Catholicism, period. And that her mom is a Christian woman. She's a woman of God who was a single mom who did so much for her family and sacrificed everything, and she loves her. So then the girls back off after they see Wendy crying. But again, you could tell that Mia is also with the Green Eye Bandits and Nneka on this BS with Wendy. So then the two groups meet up for a meal, and then Ashley brings up how when they were on their boot shopping journey, they learned more about Nneka, and Nneka explains to the big group how she's going to do her wedding in Nigeria, and she wants to do it on her father's land, and especially since Ike is titled, he also sees the value of, doing a traditional Nigerian wedding. And then they ask, well, what is title? And she talks about, well, it's kind of like, being a leader, like a chief in the community. And she said Ike did not pay for his, despite some people, paying for titles. And it's very true because there's a lot of people from Nigeria that I've met, like in college and university. And a lot of them are like princes and chiefs. And I'm like, are there so many? But I guess Nneka was explaining that some have paid for these titles, whereas others it was bestowed to them by the community. And then the girls, I believe it was Robyn that brought up first and say, oh, so it's kind of like people who pay for the Twitter blue check, like Mia and Karen, because Robyn and Karen, they would go at it forever. This was her chance to get her dig at Karen. And then Mia owns up to buying her check. And then Karen denies it. And then even when it was like, Karen, stop. Because we could see from Twitter, how you have the check from subscribing to Twitter Blue, which is like $11 a month or something. And then they go in Karen's phone and they see that she is paying for it through Apple Pay. And then Karen's like, well, I didn't do it. I got to call Apple. So it's again, it's a funny scene. Karen is hilarious, and she's claiming that somebody else signed her up for it. Could have been her publicist. I don't know. But either way, Karen brings the comedy and the light to the show. And next, Ashley brings up that their next event is chicken-ish bingo. And then Karen freaks out since she doesn't eat chicken, or the dirty bird, as she likes to call it. The girls then ask Ashley about her divorce. And they also bring up the lawsuit between her ex-husband and Candace, which is a source of contention. And here's where Candace shows why she's the princess of Potomac, because she handles Robyn very well. Basically, Robyn acts like she doesn't know why Candace can't talk about the lawsuit. And then Candace says, listen, we're not going to be willfully dense right now. Legal matters is something you can't discuss. And then Rob says, well, she wants a list of what they can and can't talk about. And then Candace again is telling her, listen, you're going to have to act dumb on another day because we can't talk about legal issues publicly. And the person that's suing her is not currently on the show because Michael Darby is Ashley's supposed ex-husband because he's also divorcing Ashley. So really it's nothing to talk about or address with the women per se because again it's somebody's ex-man that's suing her. And it was for basically bringing up the fact that he pays for someone to perform sex acts on him last season, right? And then Candace basically gets Robyn to be quiet by saying, listen, I can't talk about this lawsuit, just like how you couldn't talk about Juan's lawsuit against him because, again, Juan had a whole big university case where a student athlete accused him of not, doing the right steps as a coach and not protecting him from being blackmailed and assaulted by a coach that was his friend. And then after Candace brings up Juan's legal matters, Wendy explains, to the group in her confessional that, it was a very serious lawsuit and it involved a Title IX violation. And, it was very serious. So Robyn should know, about the severity of lawsuits. And I think Wendy was speaking as someone who's also in higher education because Juan was working for Coppin State and then Wendy works for the Johns Hopkins University, so she knows kind of how hiring and firing and the different rules work at these higher education institutions. But then Wendy says that Robyn can't be that naive, to think that what Juan did wasn't part of his firing because Robyn and Juan maintained that Juan was only fired because he lost games when there was this whole big lawsuit out there, So then Robyn in her confessional says that Wendy is wrong and needs to be quiet because she doesn't know what she's talking about. But Candace succeeded in getting Robyn to be quiet because Robyn did realize the severity, I guess, of Juan's case after the fact. And again, it's like people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And it's so strange how Robyn forgets how clear and see-through and fragile her glass house is. Like, she really was trying to press Candace about a lawsuit where her husband just lost his job and had a whole lawsuit against him. So it's just very strange how unaware she is. She moves like she doesn't think through a lot of things, right? So then all the ladies decide to walk back to the hotel. And then Giselle has her boyfriend on the speakerphone by the pool. And then the girls start to get dressed and ready to head out to the chicken-ish bingo. So then on the way to the bingo, we see Robyn have a breakdown. Basically, Robyn is still reeling from what Candace said to her because Candace is very smart and a lot of things that she says to the women cut so deep or they act so hurt by it. And at first, I'll admit that I wasn't that much of a Candace fan, especially when she used to get into it with her mom and she was more bratty and immature. But over time, she did mature. And I appreciated the way she really is verbally powerful with the women. Like she knows how to read and she actually gets into a lot of problems because she reads a little too well. And a lot of these women can't keep up. So it's like they look like they're using like a water gun. And then she looks like she's using a bazooka because she's so precise with her reads and they do cut deep. So Robyn is still really hurt by what Candace said about Juan's lawsuit. And then Candace just explains to her colleague, like, listen, this is no shade. Like, I don't think anyone should speak about an ongoing lawsuit because, like, everybody knows what you say can and will be used against you. That's why in every movie you see when the lawyer shows up, they're like, no, my attorney's not saying nothing. You have to talk to me because lawyers know what is incriminating. They know the law very well and they know, what things could be used as evidence against people. So anybody with any just awareness of life will tell you that Like, you do need to be quiet unless you're like a lawyer and an attorney and you're defending yourself. But anybody with the attorney, usually the attorney will tell them to be quiet and that they make the statements through the attorney, So Candace says that whenever it's an ongoing lawsuit, nobody should talk about it. And then she also tells Robyn that honestly, what you said at the reunion about Juan's case might not have done Juan any favors, because even in the eye of public opinion and in my own eyes too, I thought that Robyn was making excuses for Juan and that they weren't sensitive to the plight of the student, because at the end of the day, the students are the one that, need protection from the coaches. And just the fact that Juan was a coach, they were saying, oh, he did everything right. And she said that she said in interviews that the student was just using Juan's name because he's the most famous person and he wants attention on the case. Things like that. And it's like, no, this person suffered and Juan was his coach. Like, it's not about using, the most famous person. It's naming the people that were involved in his life. So Robyn did say things that were insensitive, and Candace, tried to delicately explain to her that, her speaking about the lawsuit and the way she spoke about it didn't do Juan any favors in the eye of public opinion. It might have hurt his case too. And then Robyn starts crying in the car and says that, they are the worst part of what's happening to her. And she ropes in Wendy, bringing up the Title IX violations. And she's just upset that the girls are talking about her problems the way that they do. And the episode says to be continued. So I think next week we're going to get Robyn crying on the curb like the trailer had said. I didn't see her outfit, so I'm not sure if this is the same outfit. But right now she is definitely on the defense. And again, I don't think Robyn should have came back this season because she's not equipped to have any accountability. She's just making excuses for Juan. And at this point, like I said, it's like Candace and them look like they're using a bazooka versus a water gun, because I don't know if Robyn doesn't have the mental capacity to really get into the issues the way she needs to talk about them to make any sense. But right now she doesn't make any sense. She does sound like a brainwashed and or controlled woman. She's just saying the lies and the foolishness that Juan tells her. She's not even being smart about it, like in terms of the lawsuit and the allegations. So I don't really want to see Robyn back. But again, this is the ladies' chance to at least save the show and show that, okay, they're willing to talk about their real life and they're not going to stand for people who, lie about their real life, because it's a reality show. So we shall see what happens. But put your opinions in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul.